Seki Brezza, the Citybird SUV.
Kolkata have seen their unbeaten start halted in Chennai. Lucknow have seen their proud record of defending 160-plus totals finally halted. What can we expect as these two teams now meet for the second game at Eden Gardens this season? On Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPNcricinfo Timeout. We'll have Tom Moody, Mitch McClenaghan and Wasim Jaffer preview that game for us. Thank you for your time, gentlemen. Tom, let's start with KKR and Andre Russell's batting position. That one game we've seen at Eden Gardens saw him come at number 8, enter in the 14th over. His heroics helped them win just against Sunrisers. We also saw in the last game that he came out in the 17th over. Do KKR need to consider an earlier entry point for Russell at times?
Well, it's an interesting question because I think this is a question that's been asked every year the IPL has been going and Andre Russell's been firing away. KKR historically have brought him in quite late and have sort of, I suppose, puzzled a few people with that entry point. I personally feel that any time around that 10th to 12th over would be a good time for Andre Russell to come in. But you do need to be careful with the opposition you're playing because there's certain matchups you don't want to expose Russell because then you lose the real finishing touch that Russell can, put on the opposition in those last 3-4 overs.
Yeah, like a Bishnoi in this case, susceptible to leg spin early, particularly the quicker leg spinners who are not being able to pick it as well. If I was KKR, particularly for this game, I wouldn't change too much because I think with the lineup LSG put out the last game, I think he'll be licking his lips. There's no one with high velocity or a really good slower ball at the end who would be a threat to him. So I think he could do some damage against this lineup.
What's interesting, Wasim, when we look at the numbers is that Russell tends to operate at over 170 regardless of where he comes. He doesn't tend to come in the first 10 overs much, but the impact is always similar in terms of strike rates, and especially considering that KKR do have two gun finishers in Rinku and Russell, is there a case for them to perhaps split them at times to maximize their returns from the two of them?
Yeah, I think so. I think Rinku can probably come a little earlier. Sometimes they hold him too back because what he has done recently. But he's a good enough player to come in, anytime after 8, 9, 10 overs. Russell, like Mitch said, I feel 13 to 14 overs is a good time for him. Then he can come in and play just in one dimension. You don't want him to come in too early and have anything other than attacking, not attacking in his mind. He needs to come and play the game that he plays. So Rinku probably can come in a little early, provided there's a left-hand, right-hand combination.
Now, entry point is a point of discussion that tends to follow Lucknow's big hitting West Indian as well. And if you look at Nicholas Pooran's matchups against Kolkata Knight Riders bowlers, it presents an intriguing set of numbers. Just looking at that, Tom, what does that tell us about how KKR could be looking to set up for Puran?
Well, it's interesting, Mitchell Starc, it's only a very small sample size, but he'd be pretty happy with that outcome, and he'd be pretty happy to get him out early like we saw him get out in the last game. The interesting one there is that the obvious one you'd think is a good matchup is Naran, but we also got to understand they come both from Trinidad, and they have play with each other in they have played with each other in many different teams, so they do understand each other, but I still think Naran is the biggest threat for Nicholas Puran, particularly when he first comes in.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd be thinking. As soon as he comes in, I'd make sure I've got at least 2 overs of Naran up my sleeve.
Yeah, bang on. I wouldn't read too much into the Mitchell Starc stats. I believe that was when Nicholas Puran was batting at 3 and 4, so he was coming in early, where they've been trying to hold Nicholas back a little bit more. So, yeah, I would just use Mitchell Starc in the same fashion, up the top, try and get those wickets, so he has to come in a little bit earlier.
Yeah, with Naran, the interesting bit is there are 6 balls that Naran has bowled to Puran which don't even come up in that matchup because quite early in Puran's career, Naran once bowled a maiden over in a super over. The dismissal to Kuldeep Yadav on Friday, a rare failure for Puran this season. How will that dictate the usage of not just Naran but also the other spinners? Think Varun, think potentially Suyash Sharma. Are KKR thinking on those lines?
Well, first of all, I don't think they've got the same quality of Kuldeep in that bowling attack. And Suyash likes to bowl those googlies, so he's taking the ball away from from Puran, so he's completely different bowler. Chakravarti, he's had a wood on him. I think Puran has played him really well. So I think probably Naran is the only guy, and he plays him very cautiously whenever he's played against him. So he understands he's a threat. But other than that, I mean, to bowl that kind of a delivery, I mean, even Kuldeep would want to do that again. It was a peach of a delivery first up. So I don't see that happen very often again.
Yeah, I'd like to see them play Suyash as their impact player if they bowl second, purely on the fact that I think even though he does bowl the wrong one all the time, that's from over the wicket. I'd like to see him come around the wicket because we saw the way Nicholas Pooran played that delivery. He was playing for the normal leg spinner. So as soon as you come round as a leggy, you can bowl your normal leggy and your wrong in and pitch in on the stumps, and you can create what Kuldeep, how he created that gap the other day.
Right. Let's get predictions quickly. Wasim?
I'll go KKR.
I'm going to go LSG. They're going to bounce back.
Tiebreaker to you.
Yeah, I think KKR at home are pretty formidable.
All right. Heard it from the panel. The last and only time these teams met at Eden Gardens, it was a one-run win for Lucknow. Let's see how things pan out this time around.
All new hot and techy Brezza, the Citybird SUV.